A new analysis reveals the roots and immediate dangers of this suggestion made by Texas Republican Senator Ted Cruz a few weeks ago, that Texas could secede from the U.S. if Republicans don't get their way.
Texas is right now an amazing force keeping America from going off the cliff. I think we have a responsibility. Now, listen, if the Democrats end the filibuster, if they fundamentally destroy the country, if they pack the Supreme Court, if they make D.C. a state, if they federalize elections and massively expand voter fraud, there may come a point where it's hopeless. We're not there yet. And if there comes a point where it's hopeless, then I think we take NASA, we take the military, we take the oil.
Good gracious. This week, the Bulwark highlights the deep Russian origins of today's Texas secession movement and the seriousness of an all too comfortable sitting U.S. senator giving oxygen to Putin's investment in American extremism that can be convincing and deadly. Christopher Harrison writes, it is important to understand that the modern secession movement is not a product of Lone Star pride. It's an idea that has been force-fed into the American conservative movement by Russia. Secession is one of the Kremlin's active measures campaigns. Promote fringe wackos abroad and hope that eventually they break something. This may not sound like much of a plan, but sometimes it works. We're back with Ambassador Michael McFaul and Rick Stengel. Ambassador McFaul, I got to start with you on this, because from an international perspective, I can understand somebody saying, aha, we'll get Texas to succeed, and then nobody will have to watch Texans games, and we'll be done with Dallas. I get that part. Those things are good. But at a practical level, it actually would hurt the Republican Party, because if Texas somehow left the U.S. Union, it's sort of like what you have in England right now. Once Ireland sort of left, now Labour can't really win any national elections. What is the value of promoting something as ridiculous as Texas secessionism? I understand that Ted Cruz is a kiss-up, but why would Russia care?
Well, first of all, the idea that anybody would support secessionist movement in the United States, that weakens the United States of America. Let's be clear about that at the get-go. Maybe he was making a joke, I don't know, but that is not an American who wants America to be strong in the world. That weakens the United States of America. And that's exactly what Vladimir Putin wants. America's not the only country that he supported secessionist movements. He supported them in Spain. He supported it in Scotland. He supported the Brexit movement in the UK, all designed to weaken countries and the European Union that he considers his enemy. And in the United States, he foments these ideas. He creates alliances with American organizations, extremist, nationalist organizations, which he believes if they become stronger, the United States of America as a country in the international system becomes weaker. Now, whether people are joking about it or understand that, I don't know that. I'm not an expert on that. But there's no doubt in my mind that that is what Vladimir Putin is seeking to do. He wants to weaken America, supporting a secessionist movement in Texas or Northern California. They do another one here. That weakens the United States of America.
Rick, I want to put up this map on the screen. Every other year or so, some political scientists, some sociologists is like, oh, yes, the United States could easily break into multiple countries. There'd be a Southern and a Midwestern and a heartland and everything else like that. Most of this I find to be a ridiculous turtle dove fan fiction. But what it speaks to is that America is a unique place. There aren't that many countries, Nigeria, some places in India, there aren't that many countries that have this much diversity that have managed to stay a coherent nation for 200 plus years. And for the rest of the world, the idea that these internal conflicts we have could lead to this country breaking up isn't so crazy. What do we have to do as a nation to sort of project to the rest of the world, hey, look, this is an internal family squabble, and we're not about to break into 100 different pieces?
Well, we have to tell our story, Jason. I mean, our story, it's not very popular to use the term American exceptionalism now, but I would use it in the sense of we are the only diverse, democratic country of our size in history. Going back to the Greeks, Plato didn't think you could have a democracy this big. Even the founders didn't think you could have a democracy this big. And I would go back to Mike's point. We always think that the Russians have a specific purpose in supporting Donald Trump. What they support is chaos. what they support is undermining democracy. They've been supporting secessionist movements around the world since the Cold War. They don't even know what the outcome is going to be. They want to disrupt the order of America. And so they tap into things that are already there. The Russians don't create discord. They amplify it through disinformation. And some of these things are part of our genetic makeup as Americans. You know, the Texans are proud of their own state. Lots of regions of the country are proud of their own state. But what the Russians try to do is to take that as a kind of germ and use it to sow discord, disharmony in the United States of America.
Ambassador Michael McFaul and Rick Stengel, thank you so much for spending some time with us. We have breaking news regarding the investigation by the January 6th Select Committee. NBC News confirming what the Atlanta Journal-Constitution first reported, that Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger was interviewed by the committee for several hours today. Raffensperger said he spoke at length about that infamous phone call from President Trump asking him to, quote, find the votes that would overturn Joe Biden's victory in Georgia. Raffensperger telling the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, quote, we talked about that and everything else leading into the election. That was their focus because that was where the greatest disinformation was foisted upon our nation. He added that the committee had copies of his recently published book on hand to reference. When we return, investigative reporter David K. Johnston will join us with his new book about how the disgraced ex-president fleeced the nation, all to enrich himself and his family. Deadline White House continues after a quick break.